Lincoln City, imperious, promoted, going to the dark side of the moon, the Championship. They've got Skubala. The rest of League One haven't got a Scooby. For Bradford, things are pointing upwards. 6 points over Easter weekend, an away win, no less, secured by Baldwin. Third place is theirs for now. Stevenage clean sheet their way into a strong position, and at the bottom, Exeter's survival hopes were resurrected on Monday, giving half a dozen teams above them some serious anxiety coming out of the long weekend. Welcome to Not the Top 20 podcast, League One Easter weekend recap, sponsored by Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. The earliest third-tier promotion in 50 years. Lincoln City, not just in the context of this season, surely the most impressive story in English football, but also historically good. 23 games unbeaten, of which they've won 18. Both games over Easter weekend ended in 3 points for Lincoln, both in somewhat dramatic fashion. A 1-0 win against Wimbledon with thanks to the hand of Riley Towler with an assist for Ryan One's winner, and then a 2-1 win against Reading, securing their promotion, which was already gift-wrapped and on its way to them. And what a way to do it, George, with Jack Moylan in injury time, streaking clear, the most impish of the imps, and smashing it in to secure it. They returned to the Championship after 65 years. Now, when Oxford did it a couple of years ago, it was a 25-year gap. And like Oxford, Lincoln did time in the conference, 6 seasons, of which 5 they finished in the bottom half of the conference. You did 4 years in the conference. You yourself have done this journey from Championship to conference and back again. Talk me through what those Lincoln fans will be feeling.
I mean, yeah, jubilation. I mean, to kind of just go back to, because we'll have listeners who will be, in their 20s and younger who won't remember the kind of demise of Lincoln, I guess, in EFL terms. I went to watch Oxford Lincoln right at the end of the season where they got relegated. It may have been the game where they got relegated to non-league. Chris Sutton was their manager. It was a team that had just completely obviously, Chris Sutton's had a very good job as a career as a broadcaster since. He's not but it was, the whole club just felt like it was a bit lost and were relegated into non-league. An amazing appointment of Danny Cowley and his brother after some amazing work at Braintree, and making their name with some incredible FA Cup runs with Matt Reed, a larger-than-life non-league striker who obviously came up with him into the EFL. It feels like this is the natural, not the end, but this is the latest step in what has been an incredible, David story. Ignore who's the Goliath. It's just, this is a club who've been the underdog so consistently and punched above their weight so consistently and have been run so incredibly well. I am delighted for them that the way that this was capped is so perfect. Now, obviously, whichever way you're going to win a promotion is always going to be great, but in my mind, you always want that goal. Oxford fans will know what I mean in terms of the Alfie Potter goal in injury time against York when we got out of the National League. It's that moment where it's not just the final whistle, it's the celebration of a goal, which makes you have that moment of just complete and utter jubilation. Because Lincoln were dominant at Reading, and then Lewis Wing does what Lewis Wing does, and after a completely toothless performance from Reading, he scores an unbelievable free kick from 25 yards, which, it doesn't really matter in Lincoln's perspective, but it deflates things a little bit. Before Reading, desperate for a win to improve their own playoff chances, commit loads of men forward. The ball breaks to Moylan, who has been, the main character of this Lincoln City team since coming back from injury around the turn of the year. Races clear and scores a 1-on-1 in front of the Lincoln fans. It's just incredible. Being a Lincoln fan for the last, certainly this season, but for the last 3 or 4 months must feel like a dream for them to be not only going to be promoted and champions in this season where it was pretty unexpected. They were like a dark horse to maybe finish in the top 6, but to be so dominant and to do it with an incredibly likeable group of players, a manager, Michael Skubala, that I think we can all agree has just done an incredible job. It's been an amazing season, and I am delighted, absolutely delighted, for everyone at the club that they managed to achieve it.
So because over the last month in particular, it's become clear that this Lincoln City promotion is going to happen. And because it's about as positive as I have felt about almost any EFL club in the almost exactly 10 years since we launched the podcast, we want to try something a little bit new. And I want to mark this promotion with a big piece, right? And there have been some great written pieces since yesterday, in particular, your friend of mine, Daniel Story, who's the best around when it comes to EFL writing. He was there on the pitch watching them celebrate with them, amazing access, and has told a really good story of Lincoln City with some great quotes from people at the club. We're going to do a special episode. I feel really strongly that this is not only the most impressive achievement in English football this season, but also I think Lincoln are the EFL's model football club. And I want to try and expand on that and explain why I think that. It's a sort of phrase that will annoy fans of other clubs, but I think other clubs should learn and can learn a lot from Lincoln City, but probably won't, and that's lucky for Lincoln City. I think their rise from National League to the Championship is essentially sporting success in its purest form. And we're going to detail that in a much longer, basically video essay and separate pod on the feed and on our YouTube channel over the coming days. So Lincoln City fans, please look out for that. I'm going to try from my outsider's point of view to explain all the different reasons why this has happened. And we're going to do that in a special investigation of Lincoln City. What a masterclass it's been, and what a promotion. Congratulations to Imps fans. Obviously, the automatic promotion battle is not very exciting in League One from a neutral standpoint because Lincoln have pulled so far clear. Crazy to think they played Cardiff just a couple of weeks ago and that felt like a title clash. They're now 12 points above Cardiff, albeit Cardiff have played a game less. Lincoln are going for 100 points. Let's be honest, they've got 5 games left. They're on 90. If they can win 4 of those games, they will get above 100 points. That would be an amazing thing to happen. But Bradford are third. So Cardiff got 1 point over Easter weekend. It was a draw with Peterborough. They didn't play on Good Friday because it was a game that was slated to be against Port Vale. They were in cup action. They dominated territory and shots, as always, against Posh. They went ahead in the game through Alex Robertson. They conceded within seconds of the restart. Really disappointing manner not to win the game. And this idea or this sense I get that Cardiff are slightly limping over the line, and in a way that will be quite frustrating to their fan base who, you know, have had their expectations raised way beyond the preseason expectations by Barry Murphy and this squad, but who right now aren't performing that well, certainly not to the level that they were in previous months this season. Now, they had an 11-point gap before the weekend, and now it's only 7.
And next up is Bolton at home.
Bolton at home. But they have got a game in hand, and it is at home to Port Vale.
But, yeah, of course.
And it's a 7-point gap.
But even so, to go from being in a ridiculously commanding position and basically almost be promoted, if they were to lose to Bolton on Saturday in the early kickoff, so early game as well, so others will know what's going on, the gap will be 5 points. And yeah, sure, Bolton have only got 4 games left after that.
Then their next game's away at Huddersfield.
But it's just being,
And then the next game's away at Reading.
Kept to task.
Oh.
So I wouldn't be, if I was a Cardiff fan, obviously you are, you know, I'm not saying I don't think they're going to get into the, you know, they're not going to finish the top 2, but you kind of want them to just get a result to make it not nervy. Like, you don't want to go into the last 2 games of the season, but it's still a possibility.
So could Bradford City be automatically promoted? Well, they're currently third. They won both games over Easter weekend. They beat Northampton 1-0 at home. The big one, the really significant one, was a 2-1 win at Wycombe from behind. Poynton and Baldwin winning the game for them, and a team who have been so horrendous on the road this season, beating a playoff contender in Wycombe from behind. You have to wonder what that might do for their confidence in their remaining games. They have a 9-point cushion over 7, so Bradford will, barring complete disaster and losing every game, be in the playoff places at the very least. But could they be? Could they be putting pressure on Cardiff? Well, Bolton, they'll play Cardiff on Saturday. They got 4 points. A 2-1 win at Argyle with 10 men for most of the game after John McAtee's first half red card was absolutely sensational. The 2-2 draw against Stockport at home was a very, very tight, very even game. A really good game between 2 top teams who played relatively well. They lose third spot, because of Bradford's 6 points, but I think overall we'll be fairly happy with their points return with 2 really tough fixtures against Argyle and Stockport. Stockport got 4 as well, smashing Wycombe 3-0, and then that draw at Bolton. Pretty tough fixtures, pretty good performances, and certainly at the top of the pitch, Sidibe, Olafe and Wootton all looking good. Louis Barry making his, third debut, is it? Off the bench.
Throwing the ball really hard against the ground.
Getting sent off for dissent. The league table at the top, Lincoln on 90, Cardiff on 78, with a game in hand over Bradford and Bolton and Lincoln. Bradford are on 71 and Bolton are on 70, and then Stockport are on 67 with a game in hand. In terms of that top of the table, very much Lincoln, the big story, but I think Bradford, big winners of the League One weekend, and I don't think that should be glossed over. They've won 21 of their 41 league games this season. Like, the story very much continues when it comes to Bradford, and there's still definitely a chapter to be written, and it could be one full of glory, and if so, that would be back-to-back promotions. So watch this space. In terms of the League One playoff picture, George, well, it's an almighty scramble, basically, for what looks now like one spot available, right? Stockport have a 5-point cushion, and they're playing pretty well, and they've got a game in hand over everyone who's outside the playoffs. Reading got 1 point over the weekend. They were 1-0 up against Huddersfield, heading into injury time, conceded a Lasse Sorensen equaliser. They were 1-1 against Lincoln in injury time, conceded Jack Moylan's winner, just 1 point for Reading. Stevenage got 4. Big winners of the playoff picture. A 0 draw at Rotherham, a 1-0 win against Blackpool at home, from 1 point outside the playoffs to 6th place with a 2-point cushion and games in hand. Wycombe, no points. An absolute shocker of a weekend for Wycombe, losing 3-0 to Stockport, and then at home to Bradford when they had the lead. They've gone from 8th to 11th. Ouch. Argyle, 3 points they got, losing to Bolton rather, but backing it up, or rather responding well at Barnsley with a 3-0 win. Huddersfield, 4 points and 2 massive last-minute goals. 1-1 against Reading with an injury time equaliser. 2-1 against Orient with a 106th minute winner. Absolutely unbelievable. They are 3 points off it. And then Luton have one of the best weekends in the whole division, beating Peterborough by 2-1 and then going to Wimbledon and winning 3-0, one of their most impressive performances of the season. Out of all that, what do you think is the big story?
Well, it's just all of it. Really is the big story. It's just the fact this is now chaos. Like, if you're Stevenage and you went into the weekend and you get 4 points, they'd have thought that 4 points would have put them in a really commanding position. And yes, of course, they are currently 6th and they've got a 2-point gap to 7th and they've got a game in hand. But with Luton winning both of their games, with Huddersfield getting 4 points as well, with Argyle, who bounced back from that really disappointing defeat against Bolton with a commanding victory away at Barnsley, it does feel like you've got 3 big fish there in Argyle, Huddersfield and Luton, all hitting form at quite a frustrating time that are going to really keep Stevenage up to task. And when you consider that Stevenage's next few games, like the end of Stevenage's season is much kinder, but their next 3 games are Bradford away, Bolton away, Lincoln at home. Now, we are yet to see what guys this Lincoln team will take as champions, right? They could be a team that just continue to rack up the points and post a huge points total at the end of the season, or understandably, they might start enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah.
And having
some heavy heads right now this second.
You'd have thought so. You'd hope
Actually,
so.
I'd have hoped they're back in the pub now, 2:00 the next day.
The Purple Turtle.
Start turning things around. You think they're still in Reading? That would be... That'd be a questionable decision.
Yeah.
No, they're back in Lincoln. And I bet there's some unbelievable pubs
I didn't pass
in
them on my way back yesterday.
Why have I never been?
I drove past the training ground yesterday, though.
Never been to Sincilbank. Never been to a Lincoln pub. Needs to change.
I have. So it's so for Stevenage, the fixtures don't look great. But then the last 3 games are Barnsley, Donny and Wigan. So it's going to be, we're going to learn a lot about Stevenage in the next couple of weeks. It's interesting with Stockport because they're a team with a game in hand now. And then, of course, on Sunday, they play Luton in the Virtue final, which probably comes at quite a bad time for them.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying in terms of they're probably there, but I wouldn't go that far yet, even though they're playing well, just because fixture congestion, they're only 3 points clear of Stevenage and they play the same amount of games. And we're certainly not saying Stevenage are okay. So it's not done yet. In that regard, Bolton, I think, are big winners. For them to be down to 10 men against Argyle, if they'd lost that game, their top 6 spot would have, as we discussed last Monday, would have been looking pretty sketchy. And then also the relatively late equaliser against Stockport as well, just kind of maintaining their form and meaning they can go into that Cardiff game knowing that a win there and they can dare to dream. So yeah, it's chaos, kind of Reading and Wycombe, the big losers, I would say, rather than necessarily singling out one team who's a big winner.
Yeah, Wycombe surely have knocked themselves out of it now, and in a way that will be quite frustrating. I felt a couple of weeks ago they were really well positioned in terms of slowly moving up the league under Mike Duff, in terms of working out using some January business of Morley and Lowe, for example, to kind of work out a consistent way of playing, consistent group of players at the top of the pitch that I felt were complementing each other well. And then, really disappointing from their point of view. Stevenage, it is massively in their hands now. And that's fantastic. I mean, what a story that would be as well. We've got Lincoln, we've got Bradford, we might have Stevenage as well. 2 clean sheets, 1 goal scored across the 2 games. But guess what? An away draw, a home win, that's 4 points. It's not sexy, but it is good. And it is very, very valuable for them. That this Huddersfield thing is interesting to me. I don't think they played great against Reading. Sorensen's last-minute winner was kind of long ball forward from Rowan that went through the whole of Reading's midfield and defence. And Sorensen, to his credit, just gambled and made a run that a lot of wing-backs probably wouldn't have bothered to make, and ended up finishing really, really well. And then at Orient, again, probably not their best performance there either, but they win the game with a scrappy, messy, late winner. Big Bojan Radulovic is certainly looking good, and I think that's worth pointing out, because he's such a big guy. He seems to have worked out how to use his physicality to a really positive in a really positive way in English football, having had such a tough start to life at Huddersfield, but he's kind of resurrected his Huddersfield career and looks really, really dangerous at the moment. Luton's win against Wimbledon, I mean, some seriously eye-catching moments. Casey Palmer in particular, who's been really good since joining in January. I wasn't necessarily convinced about that signing, and I wasn't sure how they're going to fit him into a team that already had so many players in the centre of the park that, have already been kind of battling for minutes in terms of Walsh and Saville and Clark and Richards and loads of others that I'm forgetting. Such a big squad they have. But he's been excellent instantly, and his goal against Wimbledon is worth watching if you haven't already. And then there was Ali Alhamdi, cursing his former club, Wimbledon, where he was so popular. And, for a guy that has looked whatever the opposite of sharp is,
blunt,
for quite some time now, to see him make a really good run, speed away from the defender, have the ball slipped into his shooting path, and then firing really hard and low into the near post. Again, if Luton can get 5 more games like this, they are still massively in with a chance. That the issue is, I guess, they don't play this weekend in the league because they've got this trophy final at Wembley. And then Argyle, strikers. Strikers is the theme. I've only just realised that, but talked about Radulovic, talked about Alhamdi. How about Laurent Alai back, starting up top with Owen Oseni, getting a brilliant assist. Fantastic centre-forward partnership play between them for Oseni's opening goal against Barnsley. Then Tolai scores from an Oseni assist for the second goal, and then a penalty which Oseni scored for the third. What they're getting from Peppel, Oseni and Tolai is just a huge difference maker for them. It makes me think that every team at this level should have 3 broadly 22, 23-year-old big, physical, energetic strikers and teach them to play up front as a strike partnership, because it's just it almost doesn't matter how good you are in build up at the back. If you get the ball forward quickly, then they can create so much. And Argyle, that missed opportunity against Bolton, but I think bouncing back pretty well. They're obviously, like a lot of the teams around them, somewhat reliant on Stevenage. If Stevenage finish strong, that's it. No one else will have a say. But still so much to go to happen in this League One playoff picture. In terms of League One relegation, Vale at the bottom, they didn't play. They lost 7-0 at Chelsea. Hopefully had a lovely day on the beers. Maybe spent a bit of time on the river. That's probably what I would have done. But they are 17 points from safety. They still have 8 games to play, where some teams only have 4, which is absolutely absurd. I can't even do the maths to work out when their relegation will likely be confirmed. But I guess in a week or 2, they play a lot of games.
Yeah,
still.
I was asked about this on 5 Live on Saturday. A chap is basically saying that, which I until I did my research before that, I hadn't really seen that Port Vale have basically requested to the EFL to have the season extended in order to allow them to play the games. And I was like, it could be quite unfair. But then they're playing Lincoln on final day. Like, do Lincoln really want their season to go on longer? I can't see.
They want to play like the midweek after.
I guess so. Yeah.
Sorry, lads.
Just
you can't do that.
I know. I agree. But it is. I mean, the amount of games they're having to play is ridiculous. So I do feel for them, especially given they're going to be playing them all basically as a relegated team.
Well,
get over and done with.
Shouldn't have gone on a famous cup run. You've created this for yourself
by being too good.
Yeah, cobblers, absolute cobblers. No points from their 2 games. They lost to Bradford, and then they got beaten 3-1 at home by Wigan. They are doomed, I would suggest. They don't have a game this weekend because it was a scheduled game, I think, against Luton, who are playing at Wembley. So their relegation could be confirmed if a few clubs above them win. Probably won't be. Likely confirmed, therefore, either next midweek if they fail to beat Luton in the rearranged game, or the weekend after. Rotherham, 1 point from the one game they played. That was at home to Stevenage. They play Port Vale tonight on Tuesday night. Now, Rotherham have 3 games in hand over the 3 teams above them. They are 9 points back from Exeter. They are 11 points back from the other 2. So an unbelievable amount of work to do. They could make it interesting by beating Vale tonight. Whether they will or not is a separate question. And then Exeter. 1-0 defeat to Blackpool on Good Friday. No, we're doomed. 3-0 win at home to Donny on Easter Monday. Hello, we're back in business. Jaden Wareham at the double. He's now the 3rd top scorer in the league. It means that Blackpool, having beaten Exeter on Good Friday and probably had a bit of a party off the back of that, basically gave away those 3 points by losing to Stevenage with Exeter winning on Easter Monday. Good Monday, as I call it sometimes. Burton got 2 points, 2 draws, 1-1 with Barnsley, 0-0 with Mansfield. Wigan got 4 points, a 0-0 at Orient, and then at home to Orient, 3-1 win at Northampton. Really, really valuable points for them. Now it gets kind of interesting, George, because all of a sudden this league table looks like pretty bonkers. Orient got 1 point and jumped up 2 places somehow. Their 0-0 draw with Wigan and then late defeat to Huddersfield. That's because Donny and Wimbledon both got no points. Both lost both of their games to 0. Doncaster in somewhat more concerning circumstances, given they lost to Mansfield and Exeter, whereas Wimbledon lost to Lincoln and Luton. The picture is, I would say, somewhat confusing right now, in that obviously it all hinges on Exeter. Are they back, or was that just a flash in the pan? If they're back, this is very, very interesting. They're on 46 from 42 games. Above them are Blackpool and Burton, 2 points above them on 48. Wigan, 1 point clear of that on 49. Then 3 teams on 50 in Doncaster, Wimbledon and Orient. Even Barnsley and Posh, who are 14th and 13th, are on 51, which is 5 points above the relegation zone at the moment. I can't kind of work out the maths around it all, but basically Exeter's win on Easter Monday threw a cat amongst a number of pigeons.
So, 2 things for this. In your mind,
nice.
Has Exeter's chances of being relegated from before Friday gone up or down?
In my mind, slightly up.
So more likely?
No, I think their chances of staying up have improved slightly.
So it's interesting because
marginally.
I would kind of agree. But then betting-wise, they were 4-6 relegation before the Blackpool game.
Yeah.
With Sky Bet now, they're 2-5. So that is significantly higher chance of getting relegated now than previously. Right. And I think part of that might just be a case of just pure points on the board versus games left, because we've asked.
Well, they haven't gained ground on anyone.
No.
Well, certainly not on survival.
But there's a thing, I think we over-index, like, they're back.
Yeah.
Big too much. When actually they're still not a very good team.
Yeah.
And they played against not a very good team in Donny, who at the time probably, felt like there was not that much to play for. And also, I think you and I and everyone here will look at a league table. And I even did it this morning where I messaged our WhatsApp group being like, Barnsley?
Yeah.
Barnsley may be in trouble.
Could they go down?
So we've spoken to our esteemed friend and colleague on The Long Shot, our betting newsletter at ntc20.com and infrequent betting show contributor, Nick Goff, who has lots of different kind of models and algorithms that take out bias and take out, teams have rankings and permutations are done on, basically simming loads of eventualities and working out without any kind of bias and just using qualitative analysis of teams and their ratings. It churns out statistical analysis and data points that can help inform probabilities of what's going to happen. And he has run a sim that tells us percentage chance of survival if certain points are hit in League One between now and the end of the season. If you hit 50 points, you've got a 48% chance of survival.
So 3 teams currently on 50, Orient, Wimbledon, Doncaster, all feeling way more anxious than they were before the weekend. And we're saying definitively, you're 50-50 right now if you don't get any more
give
points.
Give or take 50-50, yeah.
If you lose your last 5 games.
51 points, 71%.
Congratulations, Barnsley and Peterborough.
52 points, 86%. 53 points, 96%. 54 points, 99%. 55 points or more, 100% chance of survival.
Mm-hmm.
So
the number is 50 to 52.
Yeah, like if you are hitting 53 points, you're all but safe, according to that. There's a chance you might still get relegated. So suddenly that changes the outlook completely, where you're looking at Doncaster, Wimbledon, Orient needing just 1 win, and they'll probably be fine. Looking at Orient needing a win and a draw, and they'll be fine. Burton needing 2 wins, and they'll probably be okay. Same with Blackpool. And then with Exeter, suddenly that total, even those 2 points, means it's probably going to be 3 wins or a couple of wins and a couple of draws. And given there aren't many games left, they've only got 4 games left. Getting to that 50, obviously they could still stay up on 51 points, but in terms of what's needed, it suddenly makes things look a little bit less, comfortable for Exeter. Well, it's not comfortable anyway, but less rosy off the back of that big win against Doncaster. And then you look at their fixtures. They play Plymouth away next up, which is a huge derby game, and just frustratingly for Exeter, like a huge game for Plymouth Argyle. Like, regardless of the fact that it's Exeter, this is a game that they absolutely have to win in order to keep their promotion dreams alive. They then host Stockport, and it's incredibly unlikely that's going to be a dead rubber for Stockport, given they're going to be held to task to finish in the top 6 before then. They travel to Bolton, who themselves are one of these teams that needs to hit that kind of 52, 53 mark. Then they host Bradford on final day. Bradford are the one where feasibly and maybe likely that game is going to be one where Bradford are going to be looking to rest players before a playoff tilt. But even so, 4 games left. It's maybe hard to see how Exeter can find their way up to the points total that we've spoken about.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I listen to that and I think, beat Burton, lads. Beat Burton, beat Bradford on final day. You'll be on 52, and we just said.
But even that, so the double there, like beating. They'll be 3-1 at Burton. They'll be near enough 3-1 at home to Bradford. That's it's a 10-1 double straight away.
I'm not listening to any of this, mate. I'm dreaming. I'm a dreamer. I'm an absolute dreamer. I think it's interesting. Probably discussion for a different day, but it's funny because when you say that the models don't have any bias, obviously they don't suffer from the human biases that we all have. But
biases is a good word.
They have to have. A human has to put in things that it thinks is important that weight what the model spits out, metrics inputs that are weighted. So someone has decided what's more important than something else.
Well, no, but I think I might be corrected, but I think these are all based purely on starting prices. So it's the measure of what price they're going off against various teams can be a way to rank teams without bias.
So no bias.
No bias.
No possible bias. Some massive games on the weekend, which we're looking forward to breaking down next Monday. Obviously, we've got Vale Rotherham tonight. Fairly big, certainly for both teams to avoid having relegation confirmed. Cardiff Bolton, 12:30 Saturday, big. Plymouth Exeter, 12:30 Saturday, massive. Bradford Stevenage is 3rd versus 6th, and Huddersfield Wycombe as well, 9th versus 11, 3 points off versus 5 points off. Pretty massive. So let's check back in next Monday, see how we get on. Thanks for listening to this League One recap. Got ones for the Championship and for League Two, wherever you found this. And Lincoln fans, remember, we've got a special episode coming out. Making the most of your incredible achievement. That'll be on YouTube and also on the podcast feed. Cheers. Go well.